I'm in Linwood, Washington, checking out a very unusual but interesting case of a young 20-year-old woman named Anastasia who was killed by her husband and one of their roommates. This is a very kind of bizarre story, but I'm here at the Floral Hills Cemetery in Linwood, and this is where Anastasia is buried. So I'm going to walk around the cemetery and then talk to you guys, of course, about the case and then show you her grave. So Anastasia was actually an immigrant from the country of Kyrgyzstan. Now her parents actually had sent some of her pictures to like a mail order bride dating service, and they wanted their daughter Anastasia to have a better life and to hopefully be able to come to America one day, so that way she could find a great job and be able to support herself. And so they decided to help her out by sending her pictures to this mail order bride dating service. Anastasia's soon-to-be husband was named Indel King, and Indel King went on that same mail order bride service and found Anastasia's profile. He ended up writing her tons and tons of letters and ended up calling her on many occasions. And in December of 1997, they decided to finally meet in person. So Indel ended up flying to Kyrgyzstan, where he, of course, ended up actually meeting Anastasia in person. About 3 months after their initial meeting, Anastasia actually flew to the United States for a visit. And about 1 month or so after that, on April 30th, 1998, they got married. Now, Indel King was double the age of her when they got married. Now, their honeymoon period ended pretty quickly, as Anastasia complained that Indel was very demanding and wanted to know where she was every second of the day. They argued frequently, and Indel apparently wanted children immediately, whereas Anastasia was not quite ready. Another part of the story is the fact that Indel was not as well off as he portrayed online. They had to actually get at least one roommate in order to actually be able to pay their rent. Meanwhile, Anastasia ended up enrolling in the University of Washington and worked long hours as a waitress. Meanwhile, Indel didn't do much at all and ended up just taking money out of her bank account. By the summer of 2000, their marriage had essentially fallen apart. Indel was actually corresponding with other mail order brides online. Anastasia was seeing other men herself and keeping a list of everything that Indel had done wrong to her. In August of 2000, Anastasia ended up flying to Kyrgyzstan, and 1 month later, September of 2000, Indel ended up joining her in Kyrgyzstan. They both arrived back to Seattle at the airport on September 22nd, 2000, and this date is the last day that Anastasia was ever seen alive. 3 months later, December 2000, Anastasia's body was found, and it was found in a shallow grave on a Indian reservation about 25 or 30 miles north of Linwood here, in a town called Tulalip. Indel was quickly arrested for her murder, along with Anastasia and Indel's roommate named Larson. Now, during court testimony, Larson testified that Indel had enlisted him to help kill Anastasia, as Indel did not want to go through another divorce. So in other words, Endel had been married prior to marrying Anastasia, and that first marriage ended in a very costly divorce. It cost Endel like $55,000. And so he, of course, did not want to go through a second divorce with Anastasia and have to pay a lot more money again. So he decided to enlist the help of his roommate named Larson to help kill Anastasia. So Larson continued testifying that the night that Anastasia and Endel returned back home from Kyrgyzstan, Endel lured Anastasia into the garage. He grabbed her in a bear hug while Larson slipped like a necktie around her neck. They forced her inside where Endel lay on top of her while Larson twisted the necktie around her neck. She, of course, suffocated to death. They then stripped her body and cut off her blonde hair and stuffed her into that shallow grave, again up in Tulalip, Washington. After all the testimony that was brought out, Endel was sentenced to 28 years in prison. I just feel absolutely terrible for Anastasia's parents, as again, they tried their best to make sure that Anastasia had a great life. They did their best. They thought signing her up to this mail order bride service would, again, bring her to America, be able to get her a husband where she could live in America and have a great job and, you know, be able to have a great rest of her life. I don't think anyone saw this coming. I don't think anyone knew what Endel King was capable of. Rest in peace to Anastasia. I just feel absolutely terrible what happened to her. Words cannot express how saddened I am for her, and I think all of you would agree. And again, this is not the only occurrence where stuff like this happens. This is just documenting her story. And whenever I want to do these kind of videos for you guys, I want to make sure I can come to the actual locations themselves, whether it be the grave of the victim or the house or wherever they were murdered at, etc. I like to go to where these things happen, where I feel like I can remember them in a better way. If you guys enjoy these kind of videos where I go to the actual locations themselves, just make sure you subscribe, turn the little bell icon on. That way you'll get notified of every video I put out. And yeah, I'm gonna head out of here. Thank you for watching. Again, my name's Harmon. I'll see you guys on the next one.